You know that feeling, right? When you've gone through something tough, a breakup, a friendship ending, maybe just a big chapter in your life closing, and your mind just refuses to let go. You're trying so hard to look forward, but your brain feels completely stuck in the past. Well, today we're going to dive into the neuroscience of why just letting go is so incredibly hard, and we'll explore the real science that shows how you can actually retrain your brain to heal and move forward. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about that feeling of being totally stuck. It really does feel like you're trapped in this loop that you just can't break out of no matter what you do. I mean, this is the big, frustrating question, isn't it? Everyone tells you to just move on, but it feels impossible. And I want to tell you, that feeling is completely valid. There's a real biological reason it feels that way. And this is where it gets so tough. You're logically trying to live your life, but it's like your brain is a DJ that just won't change the record, right? It's just playing the greatest hits of whatever you're trying so hard to leave behind. The same conversations, the same moments, the same raw feelings, over and over. It's just this constant, exhausting battle inside your own head. Okay, but here's where things start to shift. Here's the hopeful part. See, the reason you feel stuck, it's not because you're weak or you're failing, it's just how your brain is working. And the amazing thing is, that very same brain holds the key to getting unstuck. Let's look at the science that makes change not just possible, but pretty much guaranteed if you know what you're doing. So what you're actually going through has a name. It's called a learned loop. The best way to think about it is like a path in a forest. The first time you walk it, it's kind of tough going. But the more you walk that same path, the clearer it gets, right? It gets worn down, it becomes the easiest route. Well, that's what your brain has done. Through repetition and intense emotion, it's built a superhighway for these painful thoughts, making that loop automatic. And that brings us to maybe the most powerful, most hopeful concept in all of neuroscience: neuroplasticity. This is the simple, proven fact that your brain can literally reorganize and rewire itself. It can grow new connections and get rid of old ones based on what you do, what you think, and what you focus on. This right here is our superpower for change. And this idea is summed up perfectly by one of the pioneers in this field, Michael Merzenich. He basically said that what feels permanent is often modifiable. So that feeling, that deep down sense that this pain is going to last forever, the science tells us that's just not true. It's an illusion. These deep patterns can absolutely be changed. All right, so if our brains can change, the big question is how? How do we actually do it? So let's get into the practical side of things, the toolkit for intentionally building new, healthier pathways in your brain. So to understand how to rewire it, you first got to know how it got wired that way in the first place. There's a famous saying in neuroscience by Donald Hebb: neurons that fire together, wire together. Basically, whenever you think about that painful memory, all the different brain cells, the neurons, linked to that thought, that feeling, and even the physical sensation in your body, they all light up at the same time. And every time they do that, their connection gets stronger and faster. That's why the past feels so powerful. You've practiced that circuit. But here is the most important part of this whole thing. It's not a one-way street. The very same rule that wired you into that pain can be used to wire you out of it. Your brain doesn't take sides. It just gets really good at whatever you repeat. So we can use that to our advantage. So that leads us to this really practical framework. Let's call them the 5 shifts to rewire your brain. So we've got interrupt the loop, attach a new emotion, change the body first, create daily novelty, and finally, practice a new identity. Let's break them down. Okay, so shift number 1. It sounds simple, but trust me, it's incredibly powerful. The moment you notice you're in that old loop of thoughts, your only job is to interrupt it. Just stop. Acknowledge it and consciously shift your focus. Every time you do that, you're weakening that old connection. It's like you're putting a little roadblock on that mental superhighway. Okay, so it's not enough to just stop the old thought, right? You've got to replace it with something new. And research from neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux shows that emotion is like super glue for our memories. So when you cut off that old thought, you have to consciously pivot to something that makes you feel a new emotion. Gratitude, maybe hope, or even just a moment of calm. That new feeling helps build the new pathway so much faster. All right, shift 3, this one is huge. Your mind and body, they're not two separate things, they're one system. There's a whole field called embodied cognition that proves this. So if you're stuck in your head, the fastest way out is to get up and move your body. Go for a walk, stand up straight, splash some cold water on your face.
anything. When you change your physical state that dramatically, your brain literally has to follow. Shift 4 is all about novelty. Your brain absolutely loves new things. When you do something different, even something small, like taking a new way home from work or listening to music you've never heard before, you are physically sparking the growth of new connections in your brain. This makes your whole brain more flexible, less rigid. It creates more options, more paths for your thoughts to take, besides that old, painful one. And that brings us to the fifth and final shift. You have to start acting like the person you want to be. Work by neuroscientist Alvaro Pascual-Leone shows that when you repeat new behaviors, you physically reshape your brain. Think of it this way. Every single time you choose a new, healthier action instead of that old automatic reaction, you are casting a vote for your future self. You are physically building the brain that supports that new identity. Okay, so all of this builds up to what might be the single most important idea in this entire explainer. It's a total reframe of what you're going through, a huge shift from blaming yourself to actually understanding yourself. You know, so often the story we run in our heads is, something's wrong with me, I'm broken, or this is my fault. But the new truth, the one backed by all this science, is so different. You're not broken, you're conditioned. It's not a character flaw, it's just a learned pattern in your brain. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That constant loop of thoughts, the anxiety, the pain, that's not proof that you're failing. It's actually proof that your brain is an incredible learning machine. It learns something so well, probably to protect you at some point. It's a sign of a brain working exactly as it's designed to. So here's the bottom line. You don't need to fix yourself because you were never broken to begin with. You just need to retrain your brain. You are the trainer, and your brain is just waiting for new instructions. And that brings us to our last section, and this is really all about empowerment. It's about realizing that you, yes, you, are the main architect of your mind. And that work starts today. You know, we get so attached to our thoughts and our feelings. We think, this is just who I am. But what neuroscience is telling us is that they're not who you are. They're the output of the circuits you've practiced the most. They're not a fixed identity. They're just a reflection of your past, and they can absolutely be changed. Like Dr. Merzenich says, your brain is always, always a work in progress. It is never a finished product. The person you are tomorrow, the brain you have tomorrow, is being built right now by the thoughts you're thinking and the actions you're taking today. And so that leaves us with one last really important question to ask yourself. Knowing everything we've talked about, that every thought, every action is strengthening some circuit in your brain, what are you going to reinforce today? The old path or a new one? The choice and all the power that comes with it is completely yours.